Okay, that should be all set. I'm going to try admitting Steve again. And here comes Dallas.
Oh, good.
All right. I think I'm back.
Hi, Steve.
Hi.
Hi, Dallas. Okay.
Okay. Hi, Dallas. All righty then. We will call the meeting to order. And we're going to start with roll call. Donna Ingman here, Steve LeClaire,
Here.
Jeff Stevens,
Present.
Terry Jenke. Here. Dallas Bond. Dallas. Christina, I thought you said he was here. What is he?
Dallas is here. I think he's struggling with the mute right now. I'm not seeing that
Gotcha.
option for me. Dallas, you can give us a thumbs up if you're here. we see him.
Okay. Dave Mackey
Here.
and Jennifer Stout.
Here.
And we have Christina Norland. And is Tyler with us too?
I think he plans to join us in a bit.
Okay, sounds good. All right. Okay, first of all, good evening, everyone. And do we have a motion to adopt the agenda?
I'll make that motion.
Okay,
I'll
support.
second.
Okay, do we have a discussion on it? Okay. All righty, and we're gonna have to vote individually again due to our virtual meeting. And Donna Ingman in favor, yes. Steve LeClaire,
Yes.
Jeff Stevens,
Yes.
Tara Jenke,
Yes.
Dallas Bond,
Yes.
great. Dave Mackey,
Yes.
Jennifer Stout.
Yes.
Okay, all in favor, none opposed, none abstained, motion carries. And next, we're gonna move on to presentations, and we have Tim Seppen in Bond Construction. Take it away, Tim, please. Thank you.
Good evening. Please report, first of all, 2 weeks ago tonight, we got fire marshal approval and local building approval to move in the locker rooms, and the locker rooms are occupied and were used for the first home games last week. So that's really good.
Yeah,
Last week, we also got the new boilers. All 4 new 50,000 BTU boilers are online. And we're running great. And last night we lost a small temperature sensor. So it was a little chilly to start the morning, but we fired them back up and got up to temperature. So the 2-hour delay this morning kind of helped a little bit. But they're running great and working on final controls and tying into online management system. So great movement in that area. Are well into phase 3 with the early 5s and the new 2nd floor bathroom suite. In fact, floor covering crews are on site today, and they're doing the rubber flooring in the new bathroom suites, and they'll be doing the carpeting yet this week in the new early 5s. We will be setting fixtures and hanging doors next week, but we are anticipating final cleaning at the end of next week of phase 3. And we anticipate having the fire marshal back in and all the local code officials and get all of our final approvals first week in March. So we are nearing completion of main general building contract on the project. So if all goes well, by the next meeting, we should have our complete occupancy of the entire project. So things have moved along really well.
yes, that's amazing. Everything is just phenomenal. I'm hearing lots of good comments about it all. Thank you, Tim.
You bet.
Now we're going to move on to the public comment part of our meeting. If anyone in the virtual audience would like to make a comment to the board, please click on the 3 dots and use the raise hand function. We will ask you to unmute when it is your turn. Remember that the board does not respond to questions or statements during public comment. Okay, so do we have a public comment?
Donna, I think that raise hand function was disabled with the security, so I think people can just speak up if they would like to.
Okay.
If that's okay with you?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay.
I have a comment. This is Kristen.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. So I have a couple of topics tonight I wanted to reference. First one is on December 20th, I emailed the board on behalf of Cindy, Barth, and myself with 3 attachments to the email. We have not yet received a response back to that email request. The attachments in the email were 1, a citizen suggestion document with several citizen suggestions to the school district. 2, a response to the Karen Anderson-Ham cost savings inquiry correspondence with Christina Norland. And 3, feedback regarding Christina Norland's 2020 annual superintendent evaluation. That included UperCare's feedback on section B, community relations. A response to the email was requested from the school board, in particular an acknowledgement and a few questions about the evaluation. Cindy referenced the email in the December meeting. I referenced it in the January meeting, and I sent a follow-up to Donna on February 9th to request a response. As of today, I have received no response to the email. The 12/20 email requested an acknowledgement as well as information on Christina's 2020 email. Specifically, we asked, was her evaluation completed? Was it finalized in the 2-hour November closed board session? And if so, what was her score? This remains an open item we are wondering about, where the transparency is much lower than it was last year. And I am restating the prior December request for a response to the email. The second item is on COVID relief spending. During the December meeting, a new agenda item was introduced by board member Jen Stout to use the remaining COVID funding to provide approximately $1,000 in hazard pay to school employees. I left the meeting surprised that a large dollar amount was approved with little information provided to the board and wanting to know more about this expense. Several follow-up emails with Christina were required to obtain basic information, and currently an estimated $19.50 cost is being assessed by Christina to provide backup invoices to 2 of the costs. One was a $68,000 Chromebook expense and the other $7,200 COVID relief supplies. It was my hope that basic information on the expense and background would have been more readily provided without multiple emails or cost. And I still acknowledge that Christina has responded back. So I acknowledge that there's communication that's occurring. It just is, I hope that we get to a better place where more is provided earlier on. And the third item that I have is a UperCares report. At the January meeting, I shared a new UperCares initiative that we were in the process of compiling a 2020 report based on our experience with the school district in 2020. The report is in a final review prior to sending to the school district and reflects input by a steering group of UperCares members. It contains 3 pages. 1, an intro page describing the background and overview of the report. 2, a green, yellow, red color-coded chart that shows the district's willingness to address 13 prior citizen requests. And 3, a scorecard that scores board members and Christina in 7 categories that we felt were essential to positive community relations. The 2020 report is a tool to help address the current gap between what community members are seeing and what the school district has been doing or not doing at times in response to our requests. It is our hope that board members and Superintendent Norland will consider the information presented in the report and that the UperCares update for 2021 will show progress from our perspective in the 2021 report. Anyone interested in the report may request a copy by emailing UperCares, that's one word, upercares@gmail.com. Thank you for hearing my comment.
Thank you. Do we have another public comment? No other public comments then? Okay, we'll move on. Now we will hear the extended COVID-19. Well, we're going to have the plan check-in now, learning from Christina. The COVID-19 learning plan check-in from our superintendent.
So first thing is that we reconfirm how instruction is going to be delivered, and I do not propose any changes. It's going very, very well with in-person school. We have a very small percentage, as I mentioned to you last month, of students who are doing alternative methods of schooling, and I'm just pleased to report that it's going very well, and we're really glad that we've been in school in person for as long as we have now. I don't feel that there is any need to discuss any alternatives to this. At this time, we would open it up to public comment from parents or guardians on the extended learning plan, on the COVID learning plan. I don't see any parents present right now other than board members. Okay, we will move on then to a review of the weekly two-way interaction rates. They remain very, very high, I'm pleased to say. Week 1 of January, we had 97% of our students considered engaged with at least two-way interactions per week. Week 2, it was again at 97%. Week 3 and 4, 98%. So continuing to maintain really strong percentages of student engagement. And as always, I attribute that to the great job that our staff and teachers do reaching out to the kids and connecting with them. And we will have to approve it, Donna. Unless there are any questions from the board?
Christine, did you say that we have to approve it right now? Okay, all right. So is there a recommendation to approve it? I'll make that motion. Do we have a second?
I will.
Okay. Do we have any discussion on it? Okay. So we will vote then individually again. Donna Ingman, yes. Steve Leclerc,
Yes.
Jeff Stevens,
Yes.
Terry Jenke,
Yes.
Dallas Bond,
Yes.
David Mackey,
Yes.
Jennifer Stout.
Yes.
Okay, so all in favor, none opposed, none abstained, and motion carries. Okay, so we're going to move on to, we need a recommendation to approve this month's confirmation on how, oh, I just did that one. Sorry about that. Okay, so we're going to move on to the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the items in the consent agenda? And is there any correction to the minutes?
I'll make a motion.
And do we have support?
I'll support.
Okay, and do we have any discussion on it, on the consent agenda? Okay, then we'll move on. Donna Ingman, yes. Steve Leclerc? Steve Leclerc?
Yes.
Okay, Jeff
Yes.
Stevens?
Yes.
Sorry. Terry Jenke?
Yes.
Dallas Bond?
Yes.
David Mackey?
Yes.
And Jennifer Stout?
Yes.
All right, all in favor, none opposed, none abstained, motion carries. And then we're going to move on to our superintendent principal report. Christina, please.
Yes, pretty brief. Actually, the athletic report that I got from Sarah Moylan is actually twice as long as my report today, because happily there's not a whole lot going on. We have 4 weeks left of the trimester. We will have final exams. We have some fun things that are in the planning stages for our students. Elementary students are really doing very well. Some of our high school and middle school students, mostly high school, are feeling a little bit down because of just the COVID year and the winter doldrums, although starting up athletics again has really helped a lot of our kids. So we are planning some fun activities going forward, thinking about homecoming, although it won't obviously be the same kind of a homecoming experience as usual, being the COVID year that it is. The last teacher in service of our year is coming up this Friday. It's an area-wide in-service, so all of the local schools will be participating. It is featuring Dr. Stephanie Grant. She is an expert actually from the state of Michigan on childhood trauma, and I heard her speak once as a part of the group of superintendents locally, and she was really excellent. Not only highly knowledgeable about trauma's impact on the child's brain, but also full of actually good tips and information that teachers can use and staff can use in working with students who have faced trauma. So that is something we're looking forward to this Friday. As Mr. Sepinen reported, the construction is underway and that's going very well. A lot of good progress, a lot of good comments. And so it's just exciting to see that unfolding and nearly concluding. And finally, we have preschool plans getting underway at this point. The old superintendent's office is looking very, very different, as it's now kind of a blank slate for the new preschool, and starting to figure out licensing and a lot of technicalities in that process to start up a new preschool. I don't want to jinx anything, but I'm also really thrilled that I've actually spoken with 2 people recently who would be interested in that teacher position. It's very, very hard sometimes to find a preschool teacher. So I'm very hopeful. And even we have somebody who's interested in the aide position, like the paraprofessional for the preschool classroom. So I think things are going very well. We were getting calls from people, just cold calls saying, I heard you're starting a preschool. Do you have room for my kids? So that's also really great news.
Yeah.
And I plan for that to be a Great Start Readiness program. And that means that it would be state funded. Currently, the funding level's a little bit less than what it is for a K-12 student for the foundation allowance, but the governor is really working to increase that so that it equals that of our regular K-12 foundation allowance. So we're hoping that that will happen by the time our preschool opens up, basically. And I'm feeling very hopeful that it will. And the preschool, another question I'm getting a lot of is for what age? It is for 4-year-olds. We would like the students to be 4 on September 1st. That's a Great Start Readiness program parameter, although there are exceptions, waivers, kind of like for kindergarten if the student's younger, if we do have room. So that's all about the preschool. Very exciting.
Yeah.
And I've got quite a bit from Sarah Moylanen, our athletic director. Winter sports have resumed. Things are off to a great start. We hope to have the full season and tournaments to follow. And we're trying to get that full season in by cramming 3 games in a week about. And we have varsity girls and JV and varsity boys games on the same night, almost every event. We do have a limitation to the spectators who are allowed at the events, and each local school is doing it slightly differently. Because of our limitation of our gym seating, we are going with the 2 spectators per athlete recommendation. And it's interesting actually that brings us to just about the same point that we would be at if we were to just follow the MDHHS guideline, which is 20% of capacity, and our bleacher capacity is 377. So the number of people we end up having in our gym is just about the same anyway. So it's kind of a wash for us. Junior high volleyball has recently started practicing, and they are coached by Miss Rachel Griffin. And unfortunately, the junior high boys basketball season was cut short and will not be finished. So that's a bit of sad news for the boys. As Tim reported, the teams are in the new locker rooms, and those are really fantastic. They're very excited to be in those nice new spaces. And it's also working out really well that the locker rooms in our basement are then free for our visiting teams. And so nobody has to share or juggle spaces. It's just ready-made for the opposing teams, and our space kind of stays our space all through the season. The gym is getting some much needed updates. The floor was refinished during the Christmas break, and it will be getting some new padding on the end lines. Sarah and her family actually worked on the baseboards and did a lot of work cleaning those up and getting them back on the wall. So that's great. We're really thrilled about those new pads that are coming in thanks to the sports boosters. They look super sharp, and it's just going to make you really proud to be in that gym and see the new pads with the Blue Bolts logo on them. And we have Jay Pelcher Construction volunteering to install the padding, which will happen in approximately a month. So thank you to Jay Pelcher Construction as well. Spring sports date has not been set yet. Spring sports start date has not yet been set, but due to the pushback of the winter season, it will most likely be a shorter season. The MHSA has said that they will not push back the tournaments for spring sports. And that means that the track finals will again be that first Saturday in June. And lastly, a shout out to our amazing Dollar Bay athletes. They continue to be leaders in our school, and they represent Dollar Bay very well while they are on the road. They have faced a lot of challenges this year, but continue to rise up, do the things the right way, and push forward. We are so proud of our student athletes. I definitely say hear to that final comment. We actually got all the basketball players down in the gym last week before their first away game and just complimented them on their fantastic, exemplary behavior at our first home game, and just encouraged the same. And we know that we can rely on them to do that. They are an incredible bunch of young people. And that is it.
Yeah, they certainly are, Christina. Thank you. So we'll move along to action discussion items. Do we have a motion to approve the early completion of DB coursework of McKenna Hallstrom?
I'll make that motion.
I will support that. Do we have any discussion? Okay, all in favor? I'm sorry. Donna Ingman, yes. Steve Leclaire,
Yes.
Jeff Stevens,
Yes.
Terry Jenke,
Yes.
Dallas Bond,
Yes.
David Mackey,
Yes.
and Jennifer Stout.
Yes.
Okay, so all in favor, none opposed, none abstained, motion carries. And then we have, do we have a motion to vote for one candidate to represent Region 1 for a 3-year term on the MASB Board of Directors? The two candidates are Brad Baltonsberger, that's quite a last name there, Houghton Portage Township Schools, and Janice Van Gaes, Norway Vulcan Area Schools.
I make a motion to nominate Brad Baltonsberger. And I'll support that.
All right. We have a discussion. No discussion. All right. So Donna Ingman, yes. Steve Leclaire,
Yes.
Jeff Stevens,
Yes.
Tara Jenke, Tara. Do we
Yes.
lose you, Tara? Thank you. Dallas Bond,
Yes.
David Mackey,
Yes.
Jennifer Stout.
Yes.
Okay. All in favor, none opposed, none abstained, motion carries. So do we have any old or new business to discuss? Did Tyler ever make it, Christina? Did anybody notice? I didn't.
I'm afraid Tyler did not make it. He was hoping to when I spoke with him earlier, but I know there is sometimes a conflict with his other board meeting. So he didn't have anything especially big to share about, but he was hoping to be here in case the board had any questions. So I apologize for him that he wasn't able to make it.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else have anything old or new to bring up? Okay, so do we have a motion for an adjournment? Let's see.
I'll make that motion.
Support?
I'll support.
All right, and no discussion on that, I take it. Okay, so Donna Ingman, yes. Steve Leclaire,
Yes.
Jeff Stevens,
Yes.
Tara Jenke,
Yes.
Dallas Bond,
Yes.
David Mackey,
Yes.
Jennifer Stout.
Yes.
Okay, so no discussion, all in favor, none opposed, none abstained. Motion carries and we adjourn. Thank you, everybody. Hope you have a good
Thank you.
night. Okay.
All right. Good night.